What's going on, YouTube? Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast. We're talking Auburn football. This is episode number 100 of Auburn Football Sports Talk. Go ahead and like the video, comment, and subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. As always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. Okay, so Auburn, of course, is approaching spring football training camp, if you will. Got a lot of moving parts going there. But the thing that I like about the Auburn Tigers is Auburn is obviously in one of the more competitive conferences in college football. You talk about the SEC West, you talk about the SEC as a whole. Auburn has a single-digit ranked recruiting class, ranked number 7 in this particular year's recruiting class. But if you look at the overall portion of the SEC conference, Auburn ranks number 5 in recruiting. That just says a whole lot about the competition level in the SEC. And then when you talk about fan expectations, you have to really be realistic about this, because all of these teams compete at a high level because of the level of talent that funnels into the SEC. And then you look at the fact that you have, home field advantage. I mean, crazy home field advantage. Like if you have to play a game down in LSU and Baton Rouge, you have to play a game in Auburn, you have to play a game in Alabama, you got to play a game in Florida. Texas A&M is becoming a little bit more hostile place to play, especially at night. All of those different factors can really tarnish your expectation of what you think your team should do. You also factor in injuries. You also factor in, when you have these big rivalry games, the moment getting too big for you. You factor in miscues. You think about the situation with Christian Tutt in the Florida game. Auburn developing all kind of momentum, looking like things were going to go in their favor. Christian Tutt standing on about his 4-yard line and fumbles the punt, and Florida gets the ball back in great field position. Now, although Auburn was pretty lucky on that particular play, because a couple of plays later, that's when the big play by Derek Brown, when he probably should have scored. But he's a big man. You're talking about 300 plus pounds rolling full speed. I mean, you can't blame him for falling. He probably missed. He's not used to running the football. But either way, you talk about big plays like those. A rivalry game like Auburn and Florida, filled with action-packed plays. You don't factor in fathoming the idea of an ISO play. Dan Mullen scripted this perfectly. Left a one-on-one situation with KJ Britt and Daniel Thomas on the left side. Everything's going to the left. Michael P. Ryan coming to the right, creating an ISO with KJ Britt. Britt misses the tackle. Daniel Thomas takes a poor angle. And next thing you know, the same guy that Auburn said was too slow to play for Auburn scampers 88 yards for a touchdown. I mean, what's the odds of that happening? It didn't happen for real for the rest of the year. But you got to factor in plays like those that you just don't expect to happen in the normalcy of a football game. I think Auburn coming into this particular football season, finally, I was just reading a couple of comments. I think Auburn now has a situation to where they have the depth, they have the talent, they have excellent skilled players, returning a very, very good quarterback, in my opinion. I think Bo Nix made some excellent strides as the season went on last year. Definitely a very poised quarterback. Nothing bothers him. He always comes back. He gets beat down, and he always comes back for more. And if you really think about, Bo Nix gave Auburn, in my opinion, as bad as I trashed him during certain portions of the season. But when I really started to look at this thing very objectively, I think Bo Nix gave Auburn the best overall chance to win. Now, of course, we don't have enough sample size of what Joey Gatewood could have done, but based on the coach's analysis, I think it's absolutely ridiculous for anyone to believe or even support a team that would choose their starting quarterback based on the legacy of their father. I mean, I just think, for me, that is absolutely ridiculous. I think that is a very irresponsible, it would be irresponsible on the coaching staff's part to make a decision based on that. Bo Nix has good ball skills. Now, mechanically, there were a few things that I thought that could have been done differently. For one, he likes to scramble to the right, which is his strong side. But the only issue with that is most of the time when he scrambles to the right is usually to the short side of the football field, where the defense can utilize the sideline as an extra defender. And then on top of that, it limits your trajectory downfield as to what you can see as far as wide receivers breaking their routes to come back and make plays. You've taken yourself as a quarterback out of the play, and you really can't see what you need to see if you were to scramble to your left and have a lot of field to work with and a lot of players to get open. But if you scrambling to your right, the short side of the field where all the wide receivers have to corral, everybody has that sideline that's actually, the defense has that sideline that's helping them out. So it's pretty hard to make a play out of a broken play if you're scrambling to the right side of the field. I think also, too, this particular football season, Auburn would take advantage a little bit more of the intermediate passing game. I'm talking about those dig routes. I'm talking about creating those mismatches across the middle like LSU did on last year. That will go a long way as to the success of Auburn this particular football season. So for us to go and say, all right, Auburn's going to be 11-1, going to go to the SEC championship game, I just don't know if that's a realistic way to look at this. I think the most realistic way to look at this is look at what Auburn has done over the last few years from a recruiting standpoint. Auburn was in every single game last year at a certain point with an opportunity to win. And that's all you can really ask for a team in the SEC and a team that competes at such a high level as Auburn does. That's really all you can ask. But at a certain point, as teams get experience, as teams start to work together, as teams start to build that over-the-top winning culture, you'll start to see Auburn win those games that they, win the winnables, so to speak. Looking much forward to this particular spring football practice. We're going to do some videos on some of the early enrollees, which I think is very important for the Auburn Tigers, especially when you start talking about roster management. You start projecting where some of the guys, even from the 2019 class, are going to fit, like your Keandre Joneses, and where Matthew Hill might fit, where Mark Anthony Richards might fit it coming off that leg injury from last year. Even Anthony Swartz, who is kind of questionable as to whether he will even return to the football team or not. Then you have Sean Shivers, who is also a track star at Auburn, who will participate in spring football. That's an interesting decision by Sean Shivers. So a conversation must have been had to say, hey, you're going to play a lot bigger role in our offense this year. It'll be great if you participated in spring training. All right, guys, this is my time. Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast. This is episode number 100 of Auburn Football Sports Talk Daily. We give you a daily dose of Auburn football on your way to work, or if you are just out and about. And, of course, if you don't live in the friendly confines of either Alabama or Auburn in general, this gives you a place to stop just so you can share your thoughts about Auburn football. Go ahead and like the video. Please click the bell. Go ahead and read the comments and also add to the conversation in the comment section. As always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.